What's going on, guys? I am Kadarius Washington, and you are checking out the Sports Rundown. Well, folks, the NBA season is over, and a champion has been crowned. The Oklahoma City Thunder are your 2025 NBA champions. This is for the franchise, their first championship since relocating to Oklahoma City because this team does not celebrate the Seattle Supersonics 1979 championship, of course, after those back-to-back years where the Supersonics and the Washington Bullets faced off with each other in the NBA Finals. Of course, the Bullets winning in 78 and the Thunder winning in 79, but nevertheless, their first championship since the relocation following their 103-91 Game 7 win over the Indiana Pacers. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning Finals MVP, no surprise. He's been absolutely phenomenal this season and in the game, having 29 points and 12 assists. And, of course, he becomes the fourth player to win League MVP, a scoring title, Finals MVP, joining Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaq O'Neal, and Michael Jordan. And this team, for the second half, in the second half of this game, they showed you exactly why they've been the best team in the NBA all season long, and of course them winning 68 games in the regular season. And along with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Alex Caruso, absolutely phenomenal and impactful on both sides of the ball. Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams had pretty good games too. Had a pretty good game after that very rough showing in Game 6. But nevertheless, Oklahoma City gets it done here. And when you think about Oklahoma City, you have to think about the history of this young franchise. And, of course, moving to Oklahoma City in 2008, that, like I just mentioned, from Seattle. And then in 2012, they go to their first NBA final with that trio of Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. And they absolutely get embarrassed by the Miami Heat in 5 games that year. And then, of course, they eventually ship James Harden off to Houston, and then fast forward to 2016, Oklahoma City a game away from going back to the NBA final, of course losing that series to Golden State in 7 after Oklahoma City came back from that 3-1 deficit. And then, of course, we know the situation with Kevin Durant leaving Oklahoma City to go to Golden State. And then they get those couple of years with Russell Westbrook teaming up with Paul George and Carmelo Anthony. And then eventually they blow that team up, and then sending Carmelo away. And then, of course, that after the 1 year with Westbrook and Paul George, eventually they send Westbrook to Houston, and then they send Paul George to the Clippers in exchange for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They get that 1 year with Chris Paul in the bubble where they make the playoffs. And then, of course, a couple of seasons ago, they only win 24 games, and now they are your champions. And Sam Presti, he gets it done too as the GM as far as Oklahoma City is concerned. And looking at the other side of things, the Indiana Pacers, you have to absolutely tip your hat to this Indiana Pacer team. If they had capped this run off with a championship, this would have gone down as one of the most improbable championship runs that we have seen in a very long time. And then, of course, the very, very, very unfortunate story, Tyrese Haliburton going down 7 minutes into the first quarter after hitting 3 straight threes in the game, and they just confirmed it about an hour or so ago that he did tear his Achilles. Very, very, very unfortunate thing for Haliburton, of course, playing through that calf strain, and we knew the risks of playing through that calf strain, and we even discussed it on the Sports Rundown right before a couple of days ago. And knowing the history with Kevin Durant playing through that calf strain in 2019 and eventually tearing his Achilles, but a very, very, very unfortunate spot for Haliburton and this Pacer team. I mean, TJ McConnell, Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, and Benedict Mathurin did everything they could to keep the Pacers in this game. And this game was fairly close, as I mentioned, for 2.5 quarters. And then near the end of the third quarter, Oklahoma City went on that big run. And then, of course, the lead ended up ballooning, and there was eventually no coming back there as far as that's concerned. But you have to give all the credit in the world to the Pacers. I mean, this playoff run, this championship run was absolutely magical. This team had a never say die attitude. They never gave up. They were resilient. They were tough. They had comeback after comeback after comeback. You have to give this, you have to salute this Indiana Pacer team at the end of the day. This was an absolutely incredible run for them. And Tyrese Haliburton, of course, being voted by the peers as the most overrated player. Absolutely incredible job by him this postseason. And very unfortunately, he joins the likes of Damian Lillard and Jason Tatum, who we've lost to torn Achilles right before and even into the postseason. But nevertheless, the Oklahoma City Thunder, your 2025 NBA champions. And one more thing about the Thunder. I know they won 68 games, and I know they were at the top of the rankings in defense and a whole lot of other categories. And, of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander having the season that he had. But I'm going to be honest with you folks, and I'm probably going to get comments for this, but I got to be honest with y'all. I do not consider this Oklahoma City Thunder team to be an all-time great team. I don't. I know they won 68 games, but I don't consider this Thunder team to be an all-time great team for two reasons. Number one, they had to play in 2 Game 7s. And when you look back at some of the all-time great teams, and I'm going to go as far back as the 83 Sixers. So you have the 83 Sixers, the 86 Celtics, the 96 Bulls, the 2000 Lakers, the 2017 Golden State Warriors, and I'm even going to give you the 2024 Boston Celtics. When you look at those teams, only one of them had to play in a Game 7, and that was the 2000 Lakers when they had to play Game 7 in the conference final against a really good Portland Trailblazer team who had just picked up Scottie Pippen in the offseason. But outside of the 2000 Lakers, none of those teams that I mentioned played in a Game 7, and the Thunder had to play in 2 of them. And number 2, to a lesser extent, they had a couple of bad losses throughout this postseason. Of course, getting blown out by the Timberwolves in Game 3 of the Western Final, and then getting blown out in Game 6 of the NBA Final against Indiana. So last week, I came on here and I gave you how I ranked the last 10 NBA champions. I'm not going to give you that full list. You can check out the video for yourself. But how I would rank this Thunder team amongst that list, I would put them between the 2015 Warriors and the 2022 Warriors. When you look at the video, or if you have looked at the video, you'll see why I ranked them the way that they did. I think the Thunder fit right in between those two Golden State Warrior teams. But nevertheless, this Thunder team, they are a very young team. They've got 100 draft picks. They are in really, really, really good position in the future as far as that's concerned. And of course, they finally get it done. All right, one more thing that I want to get into real quick. Right before Game 7, we get the news that Kevin Durant gets traded to the Houston Rockets. And, of course, Phoenix, as I said a few weeks ago, looks like they're going to be getting ready to go ahead and blowing this thing up. Phoenix, in return for Kevin Durant, gets Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 overall pick this year, and 5 second-round picks. Now, listen, I know it's a loaded Western Conference. I know Kevin Durant has had some injuries, and he's going to be 37 at the start of next season. But I got to be honest with you folks. I really like this trade. I really like this deal with Kevin Durant going to Houston and, of course, teaming up with Amen Thompson and Alprince Sengun, who are two budding stars. That incredible coach there with Ime Udoka, who, of course, led my Celtics to the finals in 2022. And also a nice touch with it, Kevin Durant, of course, played his college ball for the Texas Longhorns before he ended up getting drafted by the Seattle Supersonics. There's really a lot of connections with these two stories. But that was an absolutely incredible trade, and I loved it for Kevin Durant, and I loved it for the Houston Rockets. All right, one more thing that I want to get into real quick. So in the Eastern Conference, we already knew that it was going to be a fairly weak Eastern Conference as it has been this season. But think about it, folks. We're going into a season where we're not going to have Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, or Tyrese Haliburton for most of, if not the entirety of next season. And along with that, we still don't know the situation with Giannis Antetokounmpo. So with all of these developments, this puts a lot of pressure on one team in the Eastern Conference. And that team is the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks, who inexplicably fired Tom Thibodeau. This puts a lot of pressure on the Knicks because they're heading into a season now where it's pretty much NBA Finals or bust. And so far, this coaching search for the Knicks has gotten pretty embarrassing, getting their requests rejected left and right and all of this stuff. I mean, this puts a lot of pressure on the Knicks heading into next season. And, of course, them having to find the right coach and, of course, their lack of candidates and all of this stuff. So this puts a lot of pressure on them as we head into next season. Well, folks, the NBA season has come to an end. Of course, the NHL season came to an end a couple of days ago. So now we've come to the point in the sports calendar where the sports are pretty thin at this point. I mean, I know we've got the Wimbledon coming up in tennis and the British Open coming up in golf next month. And then on top of that, we have the U.S. Open in tennis coming up in August. But really, all we have now is baseball and the WNBA to get us through until college football comes back in August and the NFL comes back in September. And to all of my basketball fans out there, the NBA season might be over, but we got some pretty good hoops going on in the WNBA too, so you definitely have to check that out as well. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Click that notification bell to be notified of when I post again. And also follow me on Twitter and on Bluesky at CW Talk Sports. That's CWTALKS Sports. Let me get out of this sweat box right here, and I will see y'all the next time. Peace.